Hi, this is Sophia Cartman, host of the Dream Big podcast show. Place to learn, laugh, and grow.
And this is Olga Cartman. Welcome to the Dream Big podcast.
A few days ago, I decided to do paper snowflakes. I was so disappointed with my result. With frustration and anger at myself, I yelled, "Mom, it's a total failure!" My mom came, she hugged me, and we had a deep discussion about it. And I decided to look at this failure as the first step to success. Stay tuned to the very end, big dreamers, and I'll share with you my personal journey.
You know what time it is? This is episode 323 of the Dream Big podcast.
And it's time to dream big.
Welcome to the Dream Big podcast show. We're inspiring you to shoot for the moon, take aim and go. We bring to you amazing guests who truly love what they do. Every day they're living their dreams, and so can you. Dream big, take action to reach your goals. Are you pumped yet? It's showtime, let's rock and roll.
As I mentioned, big dreamers, it was just a normal day. And I wanted to create paper snowflakes. I wanted to create them for Christmas coming up, even though it's not that soon. I was very excited for this project, and I thought it'd be super fun to just cut out because we don't have many art projects that use cutting at my school. So I go like this. Okay. We can build a paper snowflake for Christmas, even though Christmas isn't that soon. And I got paper, found scissors, and twisted and turned it and cut it and did everything I did and tried to make a paper snowflake so hard. But it didn't turn out great. When I opened my snowflake, it looked like a random figure with a big hole in the middle. I was so disappointed. I yelled, "Mom, this is a total failure!" And I started bursting into tears. Mom came over and said, "Sorry, baby, that it turned out this way, but be kind to yourself. No need to beat yourself up. Look at it as a first step to success. Let's examine it and look how we can change it. You can also keep this as a sample for your future snowflakes." I calmed down a tiny bit, and Mom told me a few stories. Stories of famous people who also had many failures. For example, Ariana Huffington got rejected by 36 publishers. Bill Gates watched his first company crumble. Walt Disney was told he lacked creativity. By the way, we did a podcast about him in 309. Steve Jobs was kicked out of his own company. I mean, what? Milton Hershey started 3 candy companies before Hershey's. Can you imagine not having my favorite candy, Hershey's? I mean, that'd be a disaster. Raise your hand if you like Hershey's as much as I do. Good. I know we have an army of Hershey lovers. And I want to remind you, big dreamers, about Albert Einstein, the story of a man that we all know as one of the most brilliant minds that have ever lived. He was once considered a major failure. Just think about it. He couldn't talk until he was 4 years old. At the age of 16, he failed exams at school. He almost dropped out of university. And his own dad considered his son to be a major failure. Young Einstein was completely heartbroken, but kept on going. After university, he didn't know what to do with his life and started a job as a salesman. This is the same person who brought us the theory of relativity, remarkable work of physics and mathematics, and help us to reach deeper understanding of how the universe works. He won the Nobel Prize in 1921 and created the beginnings of quantum theory. So, big dreamers, next time when you fail at something, don't be so hard on yourself. Remember these famous people in their failures. Be kind to yourself and take it as the first step to success. Next time when you make a mistake, study it and see what you can do better. Every failure, big dreamers, you learn what to do and what not to do the next time. Make a new plan and move forward. We opened the snowflake to study what we could do differently, so we looked inside. And to my surprise, I saw a bat just for Halloween. You know Halloween's coming up, right, big dreamers? I left that as an example for more bats and started creating Halloween decoration instead of Christmas.
Big dreamers, dwelling in the past, reliving your mistakes and thinking about how things could and should have turned out differently isn't productive at all. On the other hand, if you looked at every failure with a smile and maybe think of a successful failure, I want to tell you one story that happened in 1970, and it's actually called The Successful Failure. On April 11th, 1970, the powerful Saturn V rocket carrying the Apollo 13 mission launched from Kennedy Space Center, propelling 3 astronauts on what was intended to be humanity's third lunar landing. Unfortunately, the mission to explore the moon did not go as planned. The Apollo 11th and 12th successful missions gave the impression that lunar landings were almost routine in nature. The mission got off to what seemed to be a successful start during launch and like a routine journey. The capsule communicator even reported back to Houston that spacecraft is in good shape and that he and everyone else in the control room were bored to tears down here. Minutes later, the explosion of oxygen tank number 2 ended those feelings of boredom entirely. That explosion then led to losing of 2 of the 3 fuel cells and threatening the eventual loss of all electrical power and water. Can you imagine what they felt in space when everything was happening? Do you think they felt like it was a failure mission? I'm sure at the moment they were all very, very scared and lost. They didn't know what to do because they never had that experience before. In those circumstances, the lunar mission was completely changed, of course, and now the only goal was to return to Earth safely. As I mentioned earlier, no one ever had such experience before, and they had to come up with a completely new plan, and very quickly. After taking free return to Earth trajectory and using the sun as an alignment star for navigation, Apollo 13 soon found themselves approaching home. On April 17th, the crew returned to Earth, splashing down in the Pacific Ocean near Samoa. Of course, they could have called this mission complete failure. Instead, they call it a successful failure of Apollo 13 because lessons from it were rapidly applied to the remaining Apollo missions and continue to guide safety and mission assurance at NASA today.
Wow, what a story of great humans and teamwork and support. Well, it's also great that we had these stories, which means someone shared them with us. And that leads me to our third lesson of today. Share about your failure to teach others. This is exactly why, big dreamers, I share all of these stories with you. I really hope you can learn this lesson with me as well. I'm inviting you, big dreamers, to find out what you can learn from your failure. Most likely, you did things that didn't work out. Or maybe they did. Take what you learned from failure and use it as a new strategy. You didn't fail, you just fell. So get up and keep going. You only won't see success if you stop. Maybe if you keep going, it's just a detour and not a failure. If you keep going, it'll give you more confidence, knowing your odds are better this time. This is the same mindset that Thomas Edison had. He was a master of trial and error. Someone who wasn't afraid to make lots of mistakes in order to succeed.
When he was asked about the many thousands of failures he had when trying to create the light bulb, he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." But there is even more to it than that. As a child, he was thought to be dumb and told that he would never, ever be successful. By many of his teachers, by the way, because his mind would often wander in class. So, big dreamers, don't believe anyone who will ever say that you won't be successful.
Instead of acting negative, big dreamers, let go of negative thinking and let other things come in. Have a habit of failing forward. Then nothing will be able to stand in your way of success. The choice is yours, big dreamers. My challenge for you today is think of a story of your failure. Remember how it led you to learn from your mistakes. Ask yourself, what did I learn from this? Record a video about it and ask your parents to post it on social media. Tag us on Instagram or Facebook. Dream Big Podcast is our handle.
We're looking forward to see them and repost on our channels. This way, big dreamers, you will fulfill number 3 lesson that we shared with you today. Teach others about your mistakes and inspire to move forward.
That's all for today, big dreamers. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a big thumbs up.
Share with your friends and family, and of course, send them to dreambigpodcast.com/323 for this episode's show notes. If everyone listening would tell just one person about the podcast, that would get our show in front of so many new big dreamers, which is, of course, our mission. And you can be part of it. If you enjoyed this particular episode, please go to dreambigpodcast.com/iTunes and leave us your review. You also can find us inside the iTunes app.
As always, thank you so much for tuning into the Dream Big Podcast. This is Sophia Cartman
And Olga Karpman.
reminding you that you have unlimited potentials. Your dreams are not optional. You need to make them essential. So take massive action and turn those big dreams into reality. Live with passion the way life was meant to be. See you in the next episode. Bye.